Hello, Anna Sabramwoods here. Let's talk about interactive stories, scenarios, and how to get the right people to give you the info you need so that you can create compelling, contextual, real-life sounding experiences that people enjoy, find meaningful, they get awesome aha moments from, and they connect with them emotionally, because we know emotion is very important in learning because it helps drive action, right? You got to feel the right things to make the right things happen. So with that opening there, let me make sure that all the feeds are working so that you guys can hear me and I can see your comments, because I love how interactive these are. Hello, hi, Di. That's awesome. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about a strategy that I use, and it has to do with getting the right people on your projects, getting to talk to the right people. This is very important. Why is it important? Because a lot of us are assigned, especially when you're crafting engaging and meaningful interactive experiences, you can't just talk to the person who is so far removed from the process. They're basically a walking manual, right? That's not going to help you. So how do you get to talk to practitioners, right? How do you get to talk to people who are actually living in the reality that you're trying to sell to the learner, right? And hello, Harish. So cool to have you here. Thanks so much for saying hello. Awesome. All right. So, and as I'm going through, you want to say hi, where you're visiting from? I totally love it. I always get a big kick out of who's staying up super late to watch this kind of stuff. I love it. And then also, if you have any questions about the things I'm talking about, go for it. All right. So one of the things I wanted to suggest to you is that, and this has happened to me, and the reason I'm talking about this is because one of the biggest frustrations is to say, you know what, to the team that you're working with or whoever's designing the project with you, and say, I really, this is imperative for me to actually talk to the end user. And it's not just for testing. Testing, of course, you want to do that. But one of the things you want to do is talk to the end user, because, and we're not talking about the end user. When I talk about the end user, I'm talking about the person who is kicking butt and taking names in the field right now. And they're basically all the things that you're trying to get people to learn and achieve through your training. They're almost like that person who embodies that, right? So if you're doing onboarding, they're the person who already lives those values. If you're doing sales training, they're already have amazing rapport with customers and they have great sales. And basically anybody who's saying, okay, who's around that's awesome at this, you can point to that person and be like, yeah, see, okay, Suzanne, look at her. She is like, I want to clone her. And so the person you want to talk to, when you're designing your scenarios, your interactive story, you want to talk to her, because she's going to give you the insight of what it took to get from somebody who was unaware of how to be like that, and the struggle and the challenges that it took to get to be like that, right? So let me just give you a little bit of an insight of how this works. And I have no idea if you guys can see this the right way and it's showing to you the right way. Can you just give me a yes or something like that right away? And I know there's a bit of a delay, but just so you can see that, right? So I'm just going to go on with this. If you can still see it, that'd be great. Okay. So basically what happens is when you're talking to your practitioner, you are looking for people who are in the current state, like we said, they model the behaviors that live. Okay, thank you so much, you guys. Okay, so you can see it. Okay, great. So they are in this state. They're a rock star already, right? You don't want to pick on people who aren't doing this well, right? And so what happens is the reason you want to talk to this person is because you want to uncover the motivation that it took for that person to actually want to get here, right? Because there's reasons, and it's not just money. It's not just not getting fired. Those are underlying surface things as to why somebody wants to get here. So you want to find out what their motivation was, because that's going to help you craft a better story for other people, tap into those emotions, right? It's not going to be from creating things that look good. It's not going to be from creating gamification elements. You got to find out, why does somebody want to be here? Why did they work so hard to be here? And then the other thing you're trying to discover is that the situations that caused them some problems, right? So you're trying to discover those things. So that's why you're asking to talk to not the end user, and I said that wrong. The end user is going to be the person who's going to be testing for accessibility and do things make sense and is it resonating with them. This person is a rock star that's working in the field. They are very far probably removed from L&D. They're actually applying. When you finish talking to this person, they're getting back to being a rock star, what they do. They have most times they don't even know what e-learning is or have any interest in it, or instructional design or anything like that. And in fact, you don't want to mention any of that stuff because it's not important to them. Let them be a rock star where they're at, right? And so one of the things you're looking for is somebody who's not only awesome over here, but also, can you guys hear me okay? Because it's kind of weird. I think I have this on. How's the sound? Is this better at all? Did it even make a difference? I love this. We're live, everybody. So what's happening is you can get into trouble when you're doing this. When you pick somebody who's been a rock star a little bit too long. All right, I hope that's better, you guys. Thank you. So if you pick somebody who's been a rock star a little bit too long, then that person starts to gain the curse of knowledge, right? So they might be just as bad as your SME. Not to say that the SME is bad. The subject matter expert is there to give you that really awesome insight into whether the things you're actually talking about are accurate. And they're very good at pointing out what the right path is. So the reason we're sourcing this person is because we want to know all the reasons why people make mistakes and why people mess up. But that's why choosing this person is strategic. You want to choose somebody who's been in that role and been awesome between 6 months and a year. You don't go beyond that because people then start to become automatic. They become unconsciously competent, right? And they can no longer unpack that process for you. They no longer remember the struggle, right? And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for struggle. We're looking for strife. I don't want somebody who's got here and they were like a rock star on week 2. No, I don't want those people. I want people who worked their way through some difficulties. So you're going to have to talk to probably 3 people to get a good idea. And these people are carefully selected, right? And so in my other videos, if this is something that you're also working on, your own interactive story, the next level way to actually engage your learners emotionally to get them started on this journey of working on themselves, stepping outside of the comfort zone, admitting they've got some gaps, what you got to do is find the right people. So my other videos this week really focused on that because getting the right people sometimes can be a challenge. But I dare say, keep pushing. And here's some strategies to help you. We can't use that excuse anymore. Like, I can't, I never get to talk to the people that I need to. It's like saying, I wanted to do something. Like, imagine in any other industry, somebody saying, yeah, I wanted to do a good job, but, I didn't get to talk to the people I needed to. So I just made it up. I just did it myself. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Right? So here I am trying to give you some practical advice on how to get this done. All right. So one of the things that you can do is to set it up to be very, very easy for people. Right. And the reason this is difficult a lot of times to get people to work with you or to talk to an end user or to talk to a practitioner is because the person you're talking to is basing that engagement and how much time you're going to take to do this on a whole bunch of previous projects where potentially, the person was engaged for a week, or they had to talk to you for 4 hours, or they just simply didn't have the capacity to be able to accommodate you, right? You're like, listen, this is what you're going to do. You're going to say, I just need, for these interactive stories that I'm going to craft, I just need 3 people. Now, I never ask for 3 people. I always ask for 7, because if you ask for 3, you're going to get 1. So make sure you're asking for more than you need. And then the other thing you're going to do is you're going to make it so easy and simple for that person to say yes, because you're going to handle it all. So one thing is, you only need 45 minutes to have a really solid conversation to discover this person's journey and their motivation. And in my conversation yesterday, what I did is I actually gave you the questions you would ask during this 45 minutes to really uncover the right things. And I also gave you the mindset that you needed to have, so that you're not coming into the conversation with a lens. So you're clouding and this with your own experience. You want to be super open-minded there and childlike curiosity, right? This is what we're talking about. So if you want to do next level stuff, this is the approach you want. So what did I just say? Yes. So you need to talk to at least 3 people. You're going to ask them for only 30 to 45 minutes of their time. The other thing you're going to do is, the thing is that these people are working in the field. And I've worked with some practitioners where they're working 18-hour days. And for me to get 45 minutes with them needs to be very strategic, and I need to be laser focused on what I'm talking to them there. So one, I'm not going to talk to them about what I do, because that's not important. I'm not going to explain to them how e-learning works or how scenarios work or how interactive stories work. I'm just going to ask them to tell me about their journey. And when you ask them about their journey, they're talking about things that they understand, they know, they feel comfortable with, and they share those with you, right? And I also told you earlier in the week, just some strategies you can use to build rapport before you jump on with that person, because they're going to be sharing their stories with you. So the other thing you want to do is you want to leverage influencers. And this has worked really well for me. So there's usually some people in an organization, right, that have, like, if you see their name and it's attached to an email with your name, you're going to perk up, right? Because the thing is, if somebody's a practitioner, I've worked with clients that check their email once every 2 weeks, which is very stressful when you're trying to get a project going and it's, and you've got some serious momentum. So that can be frustrating. But if they see this person's name, they're going to perk up. And that can be somebody who is either the director or somebody who is a really well-respected and well-known person at the organization. And basically what you're doing is you're leveraging their name to say, hey, maybe you reached out to that person that said, listen, is there a way, are there people who are already living this kind of ethos, who you would recommend, who you would see that, if I wanted to say who's doing this awesome already at the organization, you could recommend some people to me. And then that person is used as leverage in the email that I send. And I provide my students with a little bit of a template for this to say, listen, John Smith, who is, let's say, the director, recommended that I talk to you because he said you'd be a great source of information for our next story. We're preparing the new level of learners. We're getting them excited about the new training. And I really want to make sure that I'm getting, the right information from the people who are actually working in this area, right? And so that does lots of things. Like, basically you're selling things. You're selling things to this organization, selling them on this idea. You're selling the practitioners on the training that you're designing, because guess what? You're sourcing it. It's no longer seen as something coming top down. We're actually developing it with people who are in the field. They're probably going to want to see themselves in it too, right? They're like, yeah, I helped design that or whatever, right? So those are, like, basically you're creating synergy. Like, this practitioner interview is not just for you to get the right info. There's so many side benefits to getting the people who are actually going to be part of the training involved, all the way up to the people who are going to be basically supporting the initiative, right? You're getting everybody involved. This is a beautiful thing. And the cool thing is too, I've asked for practitioners when I've consulted, and they've said things like, oh, it's going to take so much time and so much effort. And I'm like, dude, we're not creating like a survey here or anything, or gathering data, or creating a separate task force, which is what usually they think, right? No, I'm like, just give me the phone number or the Zoom link or email to like 3 people that are awesome at this, so I can talk to them for 45 minutes. Here's an email that you'd send them. And they're like, oh, okay. They don't even sometimes use the email, but they know what the gist of it is. That works. And if you don't get people who are the right examples for you, keep pushing. Like, don't stop. Sometimes I hear people, they're like, yeah, I tried that. That didn't work. I'm like, when did you try that? They're like, well, years ago. I'm like, I don't care. Keep every project. Ask for what you need to produce the best experience ever. Don't stop. Don't stop. I don't care if you got told no. Keep pushing, because nothing ever got done on first try. You got to keep pushing. And if you continue pushing and asking for these things, and also being super diplomatic about the fact that you're trying to do an awesome job, it'll happen. And if it won't happen on your own, the 9 to 5 cycle, it will happen when you're working on it on your own in the evenings and weekends. Because guess what? There's a lot of people that are in our community that they'll say, the client went with this, or my boss went with this, but I knew I wanted to create an engaging experience, and I'm doing it anyways on my own free time, because this is my work, this is my career, this is my passion, this is what I do. They don't use the excuse of, oh, they told me I couldn't do it, so I won't. Like, your boss doesn't hang out with you and sit over your shoulder, especially now, right? Nobody's sitting over your shoulder. You can craft amazing stuff and not fall back to the, oh, they didn't let me. You have power. You have power now. So do it. No excuses, right? Kick butt. Now, somebody had a great question, Meg. She said, I missed yesterday. Are your questions online? Yes, actually, I have a full-on on-demand training that you can access. And what it does is it walks you through this entire interactive storytelling process, and also gives you all those questions so you can write them down and see how they fall into this, how they fall into this process. So these sessions, David, yes, they are being recorded. You can actually check them. I think they're all posted in my posts, so you can see all the videos. And like I said, this week I really wanted to focus on, we all get kind of, when we design our own interactive stories, especially when you're designing scenarios, the worst thing is having something that sounds like it came out of a manual, or it sounds formal. Like, I've seen so many people, like, this is our default, right? When you write, you turn into this, like, you're censoring yourself a lot, and also you write very formally. So to write good scripts, to write good dialogue is hard. And one of the things that talking to somebody who's living in that context and uses this information every day is that when you record their calls, because you're going to have to, when you record those interviews, you get the language of how they speak. And what's cool is then you can take that and be like, hey, I'm going to use that in my conversations when I'm simulating a meeting or simulating a conversation with a customer, because this is how people speak in the real world, not how they speak from a manual, not how they speak at headquarters thinks they speak. This is how people actually speak. And that's what's beautiful. So there's so many benefits to getting the right practitioners. And like I said, ask for more than you need. Because people are very busy. And that's one of the things that, you have to take into consideration. The people who have the least amount of time probably are the ones you want to talk to, because they are out there performing, right? They're kicking butt. So those are the people you want to emulate. So you want to talk to those people. So that's why I'm saying, hey, use every single strategy you can, throw around some awesome names, make sure you recognize them for the contribution, thank them for it, and just, like, really, it's a big deal, right? But it adds so much value to the success of your interactive story, because you're trying to connect people emotionally, right? And so one of the things I want you to consider is you're not talking to this person to get the right data, because we all have lots of info. There's actually an overwhelm of it. What we're trying to figure out is, even when you have all this info, how come you still messed up? What got in the way? So that's what we're trying to figure out here when we're talking to that practitioner. So the subject matter expert will give you all the paths, all the correct answers, because that's what they're supposed to do. They have refined the right way to do things. And when you talk to this practitioner, you will now come up with the alternatives that mess people up. Because if it was easy, nobody would be making mistakes, right? And if they're making mistakes, it's not necessarily because they don't know that the information is there. It might be because they believe something else. And it could be even their lack of confidence. Like, I can't do this because I wasn't born with this skill, or I can't do it like Jim because Look at him. He's an extrovert, right? Lots of this stuff comes in. That's what you're trying to discover. And it makes for such a compelling and powerful experience because you're addressing all the reasons why people mess up. It's awesome, right? Are you excited? I'm getting tingles right now just talking about this because it makes me, it's something that I love. And so, it was funny because I probably talked about this already. Yesterday, I had a session with one of my coaching students, and what she's doing is she's one of the things that we promote in our program is this idea of scope first design, which is you don't start things from a blank page and then feel anxious because you have no idea what people are going to come up with. In order to create a meaningful experience, you already know that there's a framework that happens, right? And so what's cool is that you can kind of relax a little bit about the framework. And now the next step you're doing is finding really good context and really powerful emotional drivers that will help somebody feel good about taking on that journey of learning, because it's making them step out of their comfort zone. Every single day we hang out and everything is as it should be, right? And for you to learn something new, we have to realize it's kind of uncomfortable, right? Because one, you have to admit you don't know something. And most people don't like to do that. Two, you have to now find the right resources. Hopefully they don't waste your time, right? So your job as the designer of these interactive experiences is, when I've got somebody excited to learn, excited to step out of their comfort zone, what tools, what resources, what job aids, what webinars, what videos, what is it going to be, book, whatever, that is going to support them in their learning journey. I've got them all revved up with my interactive story. They know why they want it. They've resonated with the character. They can imagine themselves being there. Now, what are you going to give me, right? So you got to have the info's there. You just got to make sure it's there when they're ready for it. And all of the purpose of this entire experience is to get them to move from the state of being a cold, unaware learner all the way to where we want to get them, right? You're selling them on that journey, which is so cool, I think. So if this is something you want to take to the next level, I'd love to talk to you, because the people that I'm talking to these days, we actually, April, we're launching a new kind of cohort, and I'm looking for 5 more people. I already had 3 people sign up last week. But basically it's people who are already very savvy, right? We work in articulate storyline, but it's like they're feeling underused at their work. One of my students, he'd been, when I was talking to him, he's like, I've been doing tell and test for the past 18 years. And the other things he was doing also was every 3 months, every quarter, they would have like a software update. So his job would be to go in and update the spec sheets that were included in the e-learning. And I was like, my God, I can't believe you did that. I would want to poke my eyes out. But super tech savvy, able to do anything that basically you could imagine. But the thing is that most people can't imagine what's possible. So what he was looking for is the next level stuff, which is, I already know what I'm doing. I already can create anything I want. Now I just need guidance to bring in this emotional and this storytelling aspect, which is not a part of traditional instructional design, right? So if that's something that you're like, yeah, this sounds like me, let's talk. So I'll put a link to book just a chat with me so that I can figure out if this is something that I can actually help you with, because this is next level. And it's not for, everybody's like, oh, is this like the next thing is storytelling? No, it's not. This is the thing, right? It's been the thing for thousands of years. All we're doing now is we're just leveraging the amazing power of story and the fact that our brains are like super attuned to it, to actually incorporate it in a medium where somebody can experience this powerful epiphany on their own, right? And they can drive that experience. They can actually have this really cool connection and aha without feeling like they're being bombarded with information before they're even ready for it. So that's what this is about, right? So if you feel like this is something that can take you to the next level, and you're the kind of person who works on things because they're excited about them, not because somebody else is telling them to do that, this is the place, because that's what the community that we're building. So if you want to learn more about it, there's actually in my stream, check it out. There's tons of just feedback from other students who are also just, this is it. This is what we do. We love to create experiences that actually have impact. And if you're missing that, this is probably the way. So I hope you find that useful. All right. I love what Rand said. Storytelling is the thing. Cool. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I will be checking these, and I'll probably be seeing you guys very, very soon, because I do these lives all the time. But if you have any questions, post them here. If you found this useful, share it. Also, if you are interested in just the process of talking to subject matter expert and practitioners and how that process works, check out the other lives from this week. I really focused on that this week because I wanted to make sure that you guys had all the info to really move this forward, because it is a very essential step of this. All right, so TGIF, take care, friends.